Let's see if he can leave EU in tears and make it double NA qualification in the first monthly in the road to Red Bull Wololo. Match point. Let's see what you got, Wham.
Spawning in on the north is going to be Wham in blue, and down south it is going to be TheMista playing in red. We're gonna have to double check the colors just to be sure about that one, because, you know, when the civilizations are the same, we need to double check, but indeed, we do have blue for Wham and TheMista with red.
I find it safe to definitely check that on match point. The last thing you want is to start yelling, Wham has won, only to find out that he hasn't at all. So
Yeah, it would be kind of embarrassing.
I mean, I already set a standard when I said that Core had won and was totally wrong. So, like, we would be outdoing that.
Don't worry, no one believed that.
It was just a joke, guys. Oh, we wouldn't. I'm sorry, Core. We wouldn't want you to win. We'd be stripped of your magnificent observing.
But as much as we're joking with him, he's doing an exceptionally good job behind the scenes with the observing. This is only, like, what, the third or second time he's doing observing for us, and observing work today has been magnificent. So, huge shout out to Core doing all the behind the scenes work with the observing. Also, huge shout out to everybody else working behind the scenes. Lord Petito, our tireless admin, Abducted Platypus on the back end things. We are the ones taking all the pride for casting this, but there is a lot more behind this one. A lot of people working tirelessly to make sure that the show that we bring you is as entertaining as possible.
You mean you're not, like, just doing all the work behind the scenes? You're not, like, doing the observing with your feet and then, like, casting with your mouth and then, like, doing production behind the scene with your hands and... No? Okay.
I can't handle the mouse with my feet. That's the only reason why I don't observe with my feet while also casting.
We should stick that in as a 1,000 sub goal for 1 week. I think people would be quite happy with that when you're observing.
I think I also need to stretch. Like, I would struggle to put my legs on the desk while I'm also sitting close to it.
Well, okay, that's a rookie mistake. Lidakor, when you want to play games or do anything with a mouse, you put the mouse mat and the mouse underneath the desk.
That's something I haven't thought about, but
yeah.
I'm gonna try this, but if, like, I get the feeling that I will drop down from the elo I have right now to the Bronze League by doing that. Especially because putting my mouse on the floor would mean that I can't even reach it with my hands.
That's a pretty big challenge for the way that ranking currently works. I mean, honestly, I'd be impressed if someone could willingly get down to bronze. You know what? Wham! As he wills it, I think we're about to get an outpost.
Let's go. The element of surprise, and you mentioned this before. Wham is an aggressive player, but he doesn't always play very aggressively. Sometimes you see him with a lot more passive gameplay, like we've seen in the previous game, and it's hard to predict him. I would dare to say that Wham and Puppy Paw, they do have very similar styles themselves. They are probably one of the most unpredictable players in the entire scene. And
okay,
TheMista...
He's going for the walls, actually. So he's
fine for now, but there is still a chance for a tower.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
always an option.
Oh, wait, the wall... I've seen it too often. Doesn't miss it. So
behind this one, he's also harassing the gold mine.
Is it me or is that a very far away gold vein? I think they both got it, actually, so it's quite exposed on both sides.
Yeah, gold mines are kind of exposed for both players out there, pretty far away. Actually, it's not that far away. I think there is some bias over there because it's on elevation. So
that's true, yeah.
There is a bit of a distortion there with the graphics. But the key thing here is that those scouts are beating up villagers on Mista's side. It doesn't seem like it's much, but it's a bit of a lost efficiency, and what's more important is that when this prelate comes in to heal those villagers, that prelate is not inspiring villagers. So it doesn't seem like it's much, but in a mirror, such small things can be impactful.
It's worse than that as well, because remember that, like, the standard healing rate for a religious unit is 7 health a second. But prelates in the Dark and Feudal Age are bugged. They only heal at 3.5 health a second. So it takes double the time it should do away from you inspiring.
Exactly. And right now, what else could Wham do with his scouts? He's got most of the map scouted over here, so might as well do a harassment over here. Feudal Age coming in for both with the Aachen Chapel. How do those Aachen Chapels look like? This is a pretty juicy one for Wham over here. You could also push the deer in. Very similar on the other side.
Yeah, Mista's is like, he's sacrificing, like, the great wood, but the amount of deer you could get pushed in here. Like, if he just wants a quick castle, which is your goal as the HRE, it can be better to have the potential to go food if your fishing gets blocked out. And It looks like it's not going to be the case. Wham! He's just going for the full wall in, and for good reason. Think about the relic generation here. With these walls, he'll have access to 4.
And I love this. You see, he's harassing the enemy with his own scouts, which prompts Mista to pull back the scouts himself, but it leaves that villager completely idle in the middle, or well, not idle from that perspective, it is an untouched villager. Finally spotted by Mista, but is it coming too late?
No, there's still one section he hasn't walled yet, so he needs to get on the other side and quick wall this in. Wait, what? He locks himself in. He's going to build the wall and the gate. He should be able to make it out. And if he does wrap round, look at the south side here. There's only a small gap that leads through to the south here between the cliffside and the tree line.
It's a possibility for Wham to... Wait a second. Is there even a small gap? Okay, there is a small gap out there by the cliff. It's very tiny, though. Spearman coming out from Mista, though, he's got a barracks, so he might be able to prevent this wall-off. And if this wall-off succeeds, Mista's gonna be in trouble, because... as you said, most of the relics would be on the side of Wham.
And I love that reaction from Mista to understand that he's being baited here because, like you said, the scout vision has to go home to defend, but there has to be more logic behind it. Like, yeah, you can say, oh, it's efficiency because you're able to, like, slow down the home inspiration buffs by needing to heal. But realistically, this level of play, like, players are very good at extracting double value out of a situation. And I love that Mista clocked that because if it wasn't for that detail and now his ability to contest, he could be screwed. He'll see. He'll see.
Boss.
Nope. The stealth forest. It's too much vision.
Yeah,
so now
he
you
saw
can chase
it.
down.
But oh, he's not going for the small gap.
No.
No.
He doesn't know.
I think he could have rushed the small gap. If he rushes the villager out there, I think he could have gotten the wall up before the villager gets killed. He's rushing the wall sections, but these won't last long. Nope.
Gone. He had a stroke. Actually, like when I watch scouts attack villages, I feel like it's more likely they're going to die of natural causes. It takes so long. It's not quick killing those guys.
It feels like a heart attack from just running and running and running and running away from those scouts. Transport ship now coming in here from Mista, though. He's planning to yoink the relic from the middle. Vam is ready with a prelate in the middle. So it's gonna come down potentially to costlage timing, not even the transport ship or non-transport ship case. Boar is close to the relic, you gotta respect that. If the boar gets aggroed, prelates could die.
And the interesting thing is actually the Wham was like more greedy than maybe was necessary. Like if he just stopped at that bridge wall, he would have 3 relics guaranteed because the wraparound is too much longer for Mista. And he could have went back and dropped an outpost in the center mass to make sure that he definitely gets that relic. But instead, he kind of just gets a little bit too greedy, and now there's an opening there for Mista. Build up speeds, neck and neck here. And Wham, already in position in the central island. The
he's waiting for it. He's waiting for it.
But what's he gonna do? It's just a scout. Who cares?
Proud hiding in the stealth forest, though. Mista might have a better timing on costlage. There's a second boar nearby. Mista can once again aggro this.
He hasn't aggroed it yet, though. I think he's too tunnel visioned. He's too distracted. He hasn't gone for the opportunity.
Opportunity missed out here.
Wait, but look what Wham's doing instead. He's going to secure the central relics on the south side. Moving the man-at-arms and spearman out now. He should still be able to get 3 relics. It's just logical that he can't hold the central island when he sees the extra prelates and scouts coming in.
He had to realize that there was a transport ship out there, because that's the only way Mista gets a prelate. And he said, okay, you can have the one in the middle, because I'm going to yoink the ones from the side. But that transport ship, he's not done yet, ladies and gents.
They're stealing each other's relics close to their base. Look where Wham went. He took the closest relic away from Mista, and now he's yoinking it and running out into the night.
Right in front of Mista's prelate, there's a relic getting yoinked out there. Oh, look at this. The other prelate is just helplessly trying to pursue. But Mista is the one securing the second relic first. And that's the threshold you want to get to. Oh, he wants more. He wants more than that. And the thing is, if you jump into the transport, you can't even snipe the prelates. How would you do that? Even if there are knights or horsemen on the battlefield, prelates in a transport cannot be sniped. Or at least not with land units.
And you can't Wololo either. That isn't going to work. But it looks like this could still end up being 3 relics for Wham, because remember, he's got the first units out. He's winning the initial fight here. Wololo, Mista.
Yeah, he needs to disengage. Man-at-Arms catches up. Man-at-Arms guarding the other relic as well. As you said, this could be 3. In fact, it is likely going to be 3 here for Wham, but he needs to make a run for that. He can't just leave that prelate out there.
He needs 3 for this. Look at how many troops he's built compared to Mista. It's
a big investment.
A lot more. Yeah,
He,
and it
he
looks
needs
like
to
the
get
man at
something
arms.
from that investment. It's not just the troops,
should
it's
get
also the
calmed
walls.
down.
The villager walking
It's
time
not.
at the beginning of the game.
It's too late to Wololo now, so it looks like he will actually end up losing the prelate out here.
Yeah,
And
that's
behind it,
that
Wham's
prelate.
going to pick it up. Wow, wow, wow. Final clap of the sword. Little plastic swords are pretty effective here. And the aggression's now mounting up. Like, consider that Mr. is also going knights, but Wham started doing it first. So he'll be in position to start diving your base before you will be.
True that. Second relic already in here for Mista though, and you see Mista, he might be thinking about an Imperial Age over here. But I'm not sure if he spotted the Knights just yet, and that might come as a surprise. A nasty surprise, that is. Because it looks like Wham has no desire to go into Imperial. He wants to put up some pressure in Castle.
We wondered if we were going to see the same style. It's the same style that Puppy Paw implemented. They employed against Vortex just a little bit earlier today, and it was damn effective there, and it could be damn effective here because Mista only has 3 Spearmen and 2 Knights to defend.
And those Spearmen, those are Dark Age Spearmen against Castle Age Knights over here, so they won't last long even after a brace. A couple of Knights are put out to the battlefield as well by Mista, and am I seeing him going into Imperial? No, not just yet. That's not a Pass of Schwabia being built.
I'd be impressed. I looked up at his resources. He was a few hundred away at least. Like, if I blinked and that happened, I was like, wow, HRE's OP. It's decided.
Ooh.
I mean, we have to remember the HRE are quite powerful. Like, I believe when we interviewed Beastie, he said that he considers it to like be the upcoming like #1 Civ, one of the most potent ones. And you can see with these timings, like with some flexibility as well. Yes, we're seeing a lot of them on Danube, but it's not like the one map limited like they maybe once were. I'd say there's at least 3 maps in the active pool.
In fact, players are starting to realize more and more that the HRE is essentially such an eco-focused civilization. Any map where you don't have like a tremendous amount of fighting early on, it's a reasonable civ, because you can squeeze out nice Castle Age timings, you can squeeze out nice imp timings, and we are seeing more and more of that. I just feel like for many months, players just were a little too hesitant picking HRE in situations where it could have been possibly viable. It's just the fact that there were civilizations that they felt a lot more confident with because they thought that those civilizations are much more able to respond to early aggression.
I think they are one of the most timing-based civs in the game because the whole point is that you tech up faster than people, so you need to know how to use that well. It's a very limited window of opportunity. And I think that's what players have gotten really good at. Like in the early days, it makes sense that a civ that can like delay feudal and be beneficial, like the French is going to be good, the English that can end the game very fast, or the Rus that have a lot of flexibility and potent builds that open up both feudal castle. Like their timings aren't really locked in, and there's so many recovery points. The issue with the HRE is, let's say you go into hyper late game and you let your opponent get Imperial because you aren't quick enough, you're behind. It's very difficult for a lot of these matchups, the HRE to feel ahead if they go on equal footing up into Imperial Age and stay there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, HRE is great at getting to Imperial, not so great when it comes to staying in Imperial, so to say, but in an HRE mirror, that does not matter because the two players will have relatively even Imperial Age timings, although to some of our surprise, it is gonna be Wham clicking up first. That third relic is giving a nice little, much welcome boost here to his eco to help with that.
Not just that, Lidakor, it's the shutdown food. Mista needed that. This was critical at this point. Instead, he has to reinvest, but my concern is you don't have the walls
Mista's going
up.
full Knights.
You aren't slowing down the assault. He has to go full Knight. I think he knows. I think he knows what's happening on Wham's side of the map right now. It just makes sense. Think about what Wham done early on. He set up walls, not just for relics, but also as a safeguard against early raids.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Mista essentially decides not to go into Imperial, or at least delay it quite substantially, going heavy on the Knights department, but he did lose his fishing eco. Pass of Schwabia will come online much faster for Wham. And Wham, he saw all those Knights. He saw the Knights gathering, so he's going to have a response to that. We could see Spearman being added now with Riveted Chainmail, potentially Men-at-Arms with the Mace's upgrade. And you get the impression that Wham is gonna be ready for this. Doc also getting delayed here quite heavily, might even be denied altogether.
And now we have to start thinking about positioning on the map, because this is an interesting thing about Danube. There are advantages and disadvantages to be the corner spawner and being the center spawner. Center spawners tend to have like clearer backup options if they start to get pressed on one side. However, their location is harder to defend because you can be raided from multiple sides. Wham's advantage is a better defensive position, but once he exhausts his initial resources, he can be in trouble. He's not there yet. He just reached Imperial. The HRE do this very fast. He's going to be able to hold out in that corner for a very long time, and he plans to do so as we can see the walls now going up.
He needs those walls up because the Knights are closing distance, but there is a pretty substantial proxy eco that we have on the left side. There's a hunt that Vam has been taking. He needs to sort of abandon that or risk losing all the villagers. Although with the Pass of Schwabia, you might justify staying in here because if you don't get noticed, the upside is great, and if you get noticed, I mean, I can replace my villagers forever.
Exactly that. It's like a big shrug. And also now these Night Raids are free to go in because he saw Mr. fully commit. Not many units here to guard, means you start to pressure. Docker's going to go down for free, doesn't get repaired in time. And another, like, this is how little he cares about the villager Lidakor. Does that villager look like he's on the right or the wrong side of the wall?
I mean, it's not the right side, it's definitely the left side, but it's also the wrong side. So, definitely not the right side from either perspective. Although that wall might not even last very long.
Mr. Like, he's got enough troops here. Wham hasn't built up additional infrastructure.
Yeah.
Look at his composition right now.
He's going man-at-arms.
pushing man-at-arms. There's no spears.
But yeah, he needs spears because the men-at-arms, they need a lot of upgrades to be efficient here.
And the keep.
Spearman.
Look at Wham's resources. He was trying to get a defensive keep. The timing for Mr. Pristine time to strike. Just before he gets the resources, he needs the marketplace trade, and he has. But now the build-up is going to leave him exposed.
And this is exactly the window that Mista has been hoping for. This is what he wanted to get out of this investment. Now slaying villagers on that keep might even cut off the escape path for those villagers. That keep is not going up, and villagers will be dying here from Wham in dozens.
He needs the extra villagers out from the TC. He just needs to bait them away and then go for it. He can still recover with Pass Soir because remember, Mr. doubled down. He's nowhere near ready for Imperial Age. So it's not over yet if he can complete this keep. But with the amount of Knights still diving, it seems nigh on impossible he will be able to complete it. Clutch Wololo attempt. Mr. quick to react though. Will back away in time.
So many villagers falling though, and the eco is shut down. The only source of food you have is the fishing eco, and you need it to replenish your villager count. The Palace of Schwabia only works if you have some food income in here, but that keep is getting denied for so long, and the eco damage that Mista is doing is just massive.
And he'll try to stay in this because behind this he does also somehow have both sacred sites controlled, additional gold trickle, maybe a creeping condition if he can last long enough. But that keeps taking heavy damage, and at this point, even if you cancel it, you won't have enough for a secondary because he's drained dry. Even his gold, look at the numbers right now.
It's getting cancelled.
But he only has 234 stone. He has been stoned out of this game.
And he has no functional economy. Aside from the relics and the fishing ships, every single villager is trapped inside the town centers. And the Night Recall, it is just never ending. Mista's not going to give up on this. The same way that he did in game number 1. Full relentlessness from him. He's just going to keep sending wave after wave of Knights in there, killing every single villager that gets spawned by that Pass of Schwabia the moment they are created.
Typical HRE and the greedy behavior. Wham, if he just traded the gold across, he could have been building the keep up before the wall went down. Maybe even stone walls behind it to protect him, but now he's in dire straits. The only way he potentially wins this game is if Mr. forgets the sacred sites, but he remembered that was ticking down and will now neutralize what was possibly the only remaining win condition for Wham.
And Mista now going for Ragni's Cathedral over here. Wololo is not gonna come together. I love this move. He's going for Ragnis because he's realizing that there is not a single villager left to kill, so might as well take down Ragni's Cathedral, wipe out the relic gold income.
The re-wall after all this. It's just like, they show up, they see the whole base being set on fire. It's like, let's wall this in. We'll call this contaminated. We'll build another empire.
So who's trapped with who?
It's like, you guys can stay in there. We'll build a new empire over here. Can we have one of our landmarks back? No, Wham, that's not the way the game works.
Sacred sites are also being decapped over here by Mista. He's going for full castle age pressure. So one thing that Wham still has to be happy with is that after all this slaughter, the villager difference is still only just 6 in the favor of Mista. That could be the recovery arc for Wham. If he can stabilize here, Pass of Schwabia can save the day.
The Langsneck are actually making this not too bad for him. A lot of these Knights are heavily injured. The re-wall is going to give him the space, but as you said, like, Mista is looking to catch up. The Regnitz is removed, so you haven't got that gold trickle anymore as Wham, which means you have a very limited number of Langsneck that you can even get out into the field, but enough that they will push back. The cannon emplacement especially, big play there from Wham, by the way, using the remaining stone to get one cannon emplacement with the AoE damage, but the dream might be short-lived.
Too little, too late.
Palisades.
Yeah, Knights are coming in, and look at the eco count for Vam. 50 eco overall, 37 of that being idle. Essentially, the only non-idle eco units he has are the fishing ships in here, and by the time he cleans this wave up, there's a next wave coming in. And now Mista is thinking about Imperial himself. He's going to catch up with the villagers in the pass of Schwabia, and Ram, he looks like he's not gonna be able to shut out Mista over here, because Mista, he is looking like he's gonna have at least one win here in this best of 7.
I'm sure these two Langsneck will hold them back long enough for the Wololo. Okay. That was a stretch.
It was a bit of a long shot, let's just say that.
Maybe Mr. has like bad internet connection today. You never know. It looks like this will be the last attempt. Wow. Once that tech up comes out, I think he'll nurse over. The only thing he has going for him right now is quality, where his opponent has quantity, but not for long. Tech up begins. Mr. probably less than a minute away from completing, and once again, Wham's entire eco is going to go idle. Fishing boat's the only thing bringing him any goodies.
And I mean, the Ragnis Cathedral is not functional as well. Landmarks now getting damaged, entire eco idle here. Even the fishing ships are now idle as they run out of shorefish. There is no functional economy for Vab. 52 villagers with 47 idle. That is, I think, a new record on the idle percentage.
It is with no one GGing out. I'll give it that much, especially. Like, is it delusional or is it impressive that he still thinks that like he can claw this back?
I feel like at latest when he sees Imperial from Mista, he should know. Right now, oh,
Wait,
he's trying to bait the demo.
Mista's heart skipped a beat there. And that's it.
Insta
That was the
GG.
final play. It was an admirable attempt, but Wham, no way to recover. Beaten with a heavy dosage of the Canadian HRE strat, at least how I've come to know it. But now, Mista puts his own stamp of approval on it.
Yeah, Wham tried it. He really was hoping the demo ship can sink the army and then the pass of Schwabia helps with the recovery. But that is not something that you can recover from if Mista keeps sending in knights in here, and you see that build-up of Mista. Just when Imperial Age hit for Wham, the walls were broken through by the knights. Knights flood in, and Wham was unprepared for it. As you said, he didn't have enough stone for the keep, and he had to sacrifice so much to even try to get that keep up, which ultimately didn't even become a reality. Lost everything that he had economy-wise, and Mista puts himself on the board with game number 4.